Bonjour. I'm Hala Hanna, Executive Director of MIT Solve. At Solve, I have the privilege to see thousands of innovative solutions to our climate challenge. And our mission is to find and scale the best. That's me. Like Alexia. Alexia was a young chemistry student working on native Hawaiian algae. And she discovered that this tiny red organism had a huge power. If you add it to stock feed, it would decrease methane emission by 90%. So yeah, in case you missed it, we're talking about gassy cows. But that's 6% of global gas emissions, so that can be revolutionary. From working with Alexia and hundreds like her, I wanted to share a few things that we learned, particularly when it comes to making an equitable climate transition. We think it will take a huge change in the way we think about innovation, about scale, and about risk. See, Alexia wears a coat, but we work with solvers who write code, who edit genes, who build robots, and many others don't. Like Mshila. Mshila grew up in Kenya in a community where you regularly get sick from drinking contaminated water. And he put together this filtration mechanism using plant roots, also known as a plant-based filtration system that uses biotechnology, phytoremediation, and hydroponics. You know what I mean. We need clean water wherever we are. The way we get to it in Paris may be different than the way we get to it in Nairobi, but this very simple technology works. It's scalable, it's affordable, and it looks beautiful. So whenever we're thinking about these couple of trillions in gap in financing to reach our climate goals, there are two ways we can think of reaching them. The first is, of course, to increase financing, which we sure should. And the second is to decrease the cost that it takes to get there. And for that, we need innovators like Mshila. And I know there are hundreds of innovators like this here today, like Mshila and Alexia. And every innovator is a ripple with the potential to become a wave. So recognizing these innovators is just the first step. Let's talk about rethinking scale. We've been conditioned to, idealize the big, the unicorn, the one. Sorry to break hearts, but we gotta stop looking for the one. It's about letting 1,000 flowers bloom, 1,000 ripples. It's about all of these solutions that we're gonna support so that together they equate to the biggest climate impact possible. And there are so many ways to scale. Some solutions are meant to stay local, like the crucial work that our innovators are doing around indigenous land rights. Some others, like Alexia, scale through replication. Others through franchising, like Gaia. Gaia is retiling dirt floors across thousands of households around rural Rwanda. And that basically dramatically improves the health of those families that live there. And it's 19 tons of carbon less emission than traditional build. And she's training hundreds of masons that will then go and do the work and improve their income. I want to give one more because of everyone who's here from corporations, of the panel that's right after. And of course, one huge way to unlock scale is partnerships. Stephanie Benedetto is one of our solvers. She created a marketplace that matches buyers and sellers of waste fabric to decrease waste in fashion. One of her early clients was Ralph Lauren. And Ralph Lauren has now diverted 92% of its waste away from landfill and incineration. Her clients now include Patagonia, Cotopaxi, Reformation, and also Victoria's Secret and Shein. That is how we change systems, with those kinds of players. And for all of you who are who's sitting in corporations, no matter where you sit, it's with partnerships with people like you. So this is what it will take. It's not about finding the one, it's about finding the many, and together the many ripples will become waves. And of course, for those ripples, for those innovators to survive and thrive, it takes capital. So let's talk about rethinking risk. When, of course, innovation is inherently risky, right? And actually, at Solve, one of our value adds is often to signal, that a de-risk an investment. And that's what happened with Gary Cooper from Chicago. Gary created a platform that gives a second life to industrial equipment surplus. And he was having a really hard time raising his first round. So Solve came in with a small check from our philanthropic venture fund. And that was then followed by a $2 million investment from Microsoft Climate Fund. Shout out to all of these organizations that I'm saying the name of, none of which we work with, so hopefully that will change, but they're being terrific supporters of our solvers. And within 2 years, Gary raised $20 million. And his platform has saved to date 75 tons of carbon from being emitted. I mean, once you start incorporating and taking into account the impact, all of these are a no-brainer. Especially that capital goes so much further in those places that we're talking about at the last mile. Gaia's floor paste costs $5 a house. One of our innovators, Housing Now, builds houses with bamboo in a week for $1,000. And yet these communities that have contributed the least to climate change are the ones suffering the most from its consequences. And I know you would agree, capital remains way too concentrated geographically, topically, and by type of entrepreneur. And over, what we see is that the difference between life and death of great ideas is the risk-taking of early supporters. Our portfolio of 300, there's about 20 of them that report on on carbon reduction. And it adds up to 2 million metric tons of CO2. And that's just us. That may be big, that may be small, depending on how you look at it, but that's just us. Imagine what we could do all together. And I think that's what's amazing about this conference, is that we are the ecosystem. There's thousands of us here. Imagine what we can do together. So I want to invite you to take a risk in the coming 2 days. Don't do anything crazy like driving in Paris traffic, rush hour. But hear a story of someone. Take a risk on someone. Invest in something bigger than yourself. And I know that together we become the unstoppable waves of change. Thank you very much. Merci. Thank you.